Are there certain things that you really need to know before you give a reading to the public? Yes. Whether you're looking to go pro or you just want to give free readings to the public, there are 5 things that I consider must know. And each of these 5 things are things that almost every single student I've worked with has struggled with when they started giving readings and they didn't first understand exactly what I'm going to be sharing with you in this video today. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button and the bell if you'd like to be notified the next time that I make a new video about all things mediumship, including video recordings of my readings so you can see me in action, meditations, how-to videos, and so much more. Mediumship is a beautiful art and a craft that is often life-changing for both mediums and sitters. It can also be extremely vulnerable for both the medium and the sitter because remember, we're dealing with death. It's also so exciting to become aware of your mediumistic skills and to start using them for good. But there are also some really important things that you have to know before you give readings so you don't fuck it up for yourself and the people who sit with you. Number 1, how to create boundaries with spirit. This is one of the first things that I teach my students in my mediumship course, Speaking with Spirits. How often do I hear mediums tell me, oh, I'm constantly aware of spirits. They're, coming to me in the shower. They're waking me up in the middle of the night. Always. Or maybe they've become aware of somebody's past loved one when they're out socializing and it becomes a very awkward situation. All of these things can be avoided. Now, I know that it's really fun and exciting in the beginning when you're sensing spirit and becoming aware of your mediumistic skills. I get it, and I felt the same way. But trust me, you will need boundaries if you want this work to be sustainable and enjoyable long term. I had a student in my class once who literally couldn't finish the exercises and the practice readings that we were doing because they had become aware of a spirit and had been communicating with them all day long. By the time they showed up to class, they were wrecked, completely destroyed, and looking very miserable. Now, the sad thing is, I've got to tell you, those are the light symptoms of going too far with how many readings you're doing and how often you're aware of spirit. To get you started, I would suggest making a list of everything that you are available for in your relationship with spirit and everything that you're not available for in your relationship with spirit. For example, I am available for spirit to come into my awareness anytime I'm working professionally by giving a mediumistic reading or teaching. I'm also available for spirit in an emergency to come into my awareness, or if they're just sharing like a sweet, simple sign that's not a significant disruption to my day. You'll probably know that what I'm not available for is for spirit to come into my awareness at any other time than the ones that I've mentioned. When you hear me share that, what are some of the boundaries with spirit you'd like to have in place that come to mind? Number 2, the difference between working psychically and working mediumistically. Now, I hear beginning mediums and advanced mediums alike moan about working psychically as if working mediumistically is the gold standard. The fact is, they both utilize strengthening the clear senses. So even when you're working psychically, you're actually benefiting your mediumistic skills as well. The thing to understand is that knowing the difference is so important. In fact, it's paramount. Primarily, this is for ethical reasons. You can get all the same information about a sitter's past loved one from their energetic field as you can from a past spirit. That means you can get it psychically or you can get it mediumistically. And a lot of people don't know this. In fact, a lot of mediums will start giving a reading, and especially when they go to give the message, sometimes they will drop from the mediumistic vibration down to the psychic vibration without even knowing it. This is why this is about mediumship ethics in a way. If you tell your sitter that they're hearing a message from their past loved one, but you're just getting it from reading their energetic field, then that's unethical. There's a lot of other reasons you have to know the difference, though. Let's say that you want to give a spiritual assessment. Well, during a spiritual assessment, you have to read your client psychically, and then you connect mediumistically with their spirit guides to give them messages about their spiritual development. And if you'd ever like to teach a mediumship class, you've got to be able to link in with your students and know, oh, they're getting that information psychically and this information mediumistically, so that you can point it out and you can help them. Knowing this difference is a very important skill that I teach my students in my mediumship course, Speaking with Spirits. And it takes them a while to figure out the different signs that they're working psychically and the different signs that they're working mediumistically. But I help my clients learn 3 or 4 different ways that you can figure out how you're working. Mediumship ethics is number 3. I touched on this just previously, but it's just a topic in and of itself.
The way I like to sum it all up for you, though, to know just how important mediumship ethics is that anytime you go to give any kind of reading, it's like walking into someone's bedroom, picking up their journal, and starting to read it. Even if you're doing a psychic reading or a mediumistic reading, there's all kinds of really personal information that can come up. You could bring up evidence that's related to trauma, that's related to abuse somewhere in their history or with the spirit who's coming through, or perhaps you're just bringing through information that's really private. This is why it's so important to always both educate your sitter and get consent before you give a reading. And people can't consent to something when they don't understand what they're consenting to. That's why the education piece is so important. Now, we've all seen a TV series or a movie where a medium walks up to some random stranger in a public place and gives them a reading. Of course, a lot of times this can turn out just fine and even be a life changing experience for the sitter. But there's plenty of times when it doesn't work out that way. And that's why most of the public doesn't really understand what mediumship is. So if you go up, you want to tell them, hey, here's some of the things that can happen. Here's what you're really saying yes to. Now that you're educated, do you consent? A lot of things about mediumship ethics come down to putting yourself in the shoes of your sitter and really, really thinking through how the things you say in a reading could affect them, and sometimes for the worse. There are so many times where mediums or psychics say things to a sitter and it makes them anxious or worried or feeling perhaps that their loved one isn't in peace. We really have to think through our words. But if you want to know more about my take on mediumship ethics, you can check out my video above. Number 4 is so important, and I rarely hear it talked about in development circles I've been a part of, and that is how to find sustainability in your mediumship, specifically emotionally and energetically. So, this should go without saying, but as mediums and spiritual practitioners, we're working with energy, a lot of it, and constantly. So, it would only make sense that we have to be able to be aware of what works well for us, how many readings we could do in a week. Now, I remember the time I did 13 readings in a week. And I will tell you that the next week was not pretty. I had panic attacks, I had anxiety, and I could just feel myself vibrating. It's as if I hadn't done a good job of coming back down. Now I know that I like to give 3 readings a week. While I could give more, this is the perfect amount to keep me loving my work and having time to do other things like write books, teach courses or development circles, speak at events, and more. Keep in mind that some readings can be really heavy emotionally. Perhaps you're bringing through someone who passed from suicide or a young child for a parent. Even when readings aren't heavy or difficult in certain ways, you have to learn how your body responds to 1 reading, 2 readings, 3 or more readings in a day, and then the day after, and then the week after. It takes time to pick up on how your body responds, but once it talks to you, listen. Have you learned anything about how you work sustainably, emotionally, energetically, or are you kind of stuck trying to figure that out right now? I'd love to see your comments below this video. And lastly, number 5, how to ground and protect your energy. Now, I am not somebody who has any fear of or worries too much about dark or evil entities when I'm working as a medium, but still, because we've been talking about just how much we work with energy as spiritual practitioners and especially as mediums, why wouldn't it be important to ground your energy and protect your energy? So let's talk a little bit about what I mean by this. When we work as mediums, we actually elevate our vibration and spirit lowers theirs so we can meet in the middle. Have you ever felt like you're kind of buzzing after a reading? This is one of the reasons that I like to ground my energy before I begin. And the way that I do that, just quickly, is I close my eyes and I imagine feeling a little tug from my root chakra, which sits at the base of your spine near your coccyx. Just this little tug to help me feel secure and grounded during my reading. You also want to have some kind of practice just to protect your energy because you're using so much of it. You want the energy from a spirit to come through you, not get put on you. Other things that help you protect your energy and then release excess energy after a reading can be super important things to do. There was a time where I got a little bit nervous about like evil entities and things like this. And a lot of my students, when they're first starting, will come into class and they'll be a little bit stressed about this. So I'll talk them through this as well. So whatever your belief system, it's always a good thing to know how to ground yourself, to know how to protect your energy, to know how to cleanse your energy after a reading. All 5 of these must-knows are tools and steps that I teach right away in the orientation section of my course, Speaking with Spirits. That means that as soon as you enroll for my course, you get access to all of these trainings. And then, because it's a live program, we discuss how you can put these things into place in your practice. If you want to check out my Speaking with Spirits course and get on the wait list so that you're ready when enrollment opens soon, you can go to mediumshipwithmel.com/SPS. If you're interested in strengthening your clairs so you can speak to spirit, you can download my free guide below. It's called 3 Easy Exercises to Strengthen Your Clairs and Speak to Spirit, and it includes sitting in the power meditations as well. Be sure to check out this video next. If you like this video, comment below and tell me what was most helpful. You can always share this video with someone who it might be helpful for. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe now and hit the bell. That way you'll be notified the next time I create a video about all things mediumship.